This is Karen O'Brien, and I would like to do an overview of the FLO2D Gila plugin. I'm going to try to condense this into a bit shorter of a video, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's start with, where do you get the plugin? If you go to the FLO2D homepage, or you can click this drop-down menu and go to QGIS plugin, and the plugin will load there. Let's see if I'm logged into here. Or you can go to your FLO2D Pro update and get your plugins here in a FLO2D folder. So if you're a subscriber, you have access to everything in here. If you need to do your setups, you're going to set up from here. And if you need your plugins, you're going to set up or get those here. And if you want to go back and use older programs like GDS, you can get those in here. Okay, we have new documentation for the plugin. You can access it very easily. One, you can download the plugin from this link, or you can access the documentation from this link. Once you're in the documentation, we've improved it and updated it, so it's no longer just FLO2D tutorials. We're going to add more tutorials as time goes by. But what I've done is I've added an installation and setup. I've enhanced the installation and setup. So we've got your FLO2D Pro installation instructions, install QGIS and the plugin, installation instructions on how to port a geo package. If you want to go back and use Mapper, GDS, or Mapper, you get the instructions here, and some troubleshooting. I'm not going to go over these. Because we're going to focus on the plugin. Let me show you the tutorials first, and then we'll go back to the plugins. This is the tutorials. For old tutorials are back here. There's nothing wrong with them. They still work great with this version of the plugin. And the new tutorials for the Gila plugin are here. So if you click on this, it's a little bit different. They're not step-by-step instructions like on the old version. They're just videos. That was a lot of work to get those step-by-step instructions, and it's a lot faster just to update these videos as we go. So a little bit of notes: if you want to take the self-help kit, you're going to download it from here. I'm going to click this button, but come right back here, and you see a note here. It's going to be easier to see and view these videos on YouTube because you get that full mode, that full view mode, and on YouTube you'll be able to set the playback speed to 2 times so you can finish these faster. If you go to one of the other lessons, you'll see that you have different lessons: set up the grid, assign the elevation, assign the roughness, and those are just different videos as you go down along here. This one right here, backup and recovery, is very important. Now, if you need the self-help kit data files, well, if you've run FLO2D installer, you probably have them, but these ones are a little more. I think I added some details to these, but you don't download all of this. Just get these two right here. That's all you need. This is FLO2D Gila plugin, and this is the installer. So that's all you need if you want to run that through that self-help kit. Let's go ahead and go back now. Instead of talking about tutorials, let's focus on the FLO2D plugin user manual. So this is the FLO2D Gila plugin, and it starts out with just how to get installation instructions and setups, some plugin features and some additional plugins. I'm not going to skip these two. The toolbar, which covers each of these individual tools, and then the widgets. So I'm not going to go over the widgets. I'll show you those later, but I am going to go over these toolbars now because I want to show you these toolbars from here instead of from the plugin. It's a little bit easier for me, and then it kind of gives you, reminds you that these are here. So we'll go. This is the FLO2D project toolbar, or tool. Import and export, run FLO2D or run programs. This one is like extra processors, grid info tools, things like that. So let's take a look at these individually. So FLO2D project is create a new project, and something that is different now is that you get to add your information about your project if you want that to carry forward with your project, so somebody can get some help from you if they get a hold of your project in the future. And that is create a new project. If you need to open a FLO2D project, you can't. There's no more QGZ file, and there's no more dragging and dropping the project onto the map to load it. Now you either use this button or you click it from the list. So you'll open the FLO2D project, it will navigate you to the geo package, and then you'll click yes to open it. If the geo package is outdated, the plugin will automatically update it. All right, and then saving a project is a lot different. I'm going to go over it a little bit, but I want you to review this instructions for the saving a project. Geopackage management is also new. Actually, this documentation is a little off, so I need to update that, but we'll go over it in the video. So stay with us in the video to learn how to use this tool. All right, Flow2D import export. Let's see if we got the import data files. That's the same as it's always been. Import selected components. That's if you want to import an individual data file. This one will rebuild the whole project. This one will just import and update a specific component. This will export your DAT files. Import export HDF5 is coming soon. So I think this just says that the tool is under construction and will not function for all data types. So don't use these yet. Import swim INP, export swim INP, that's always functioned the same, it's just in a new spot. And import RAS, and I think we also are missing one, import back from a geo package. So run Flow2D. Run Flow2D has some cool new things. These things have always been here: run tailings dam tool, run profiles, run hydrog, run mapper. Oh, this is new: run map crafter, run rasterizer. We moved those here. And the quick run is new, so you don't have to like export your project and then start the engine. This will do everything in one step. And then the run Flow2D is like, you can use this if you have a run that you don't want to load a geo package, you just want to run it, you can use this button. Run settings is important. Run settings is important because there's a couple of new features on run settings. When you first start your plugin, you need to set this to the Flow2D Pro folder, which is just C drive, program files x86, Flow2D Pro. And you need to set this second one to the run folder or the export folder. And if you do that and you set that to a run that's already complete, you can use the results tool to find or to call results from all these output files. See, for example, here you can see the results for that conduit right there. And so you'll have a whole section on info and results. And there's one more excellent button here is to show or hide advanced layers. So all these tables that used to kind of take up space on the schematic area are all now hidden. And if you want to see them, you can show them with this tool. The quick run button is just self-explanatory. You just export, or you just select your quick run folder, you export, and the run starts automatically. Let's see, let's go ahead and go over Flow2D parameters. So you can see that the only thing that we've done under this is we've condensed a lot of these processors under the set control parameters button. So if you lose those or whatever, they're just all under here. I'm sure you'll figure that out on your own because you'll start clicking buttons if you lose things. Info tools. This is new. A lot of new stuff on these three tools. Well, this one works the same as it always did, but the Flow2D info tool is different. It will now connect to data and load the data into each individual processor so that you can process data. So if you have a channel cross section or a user cross section, it'll load it and it'll plot the cross section. If you have a schema cross section, it'll load the data in a table so that you can see it, and then you can navigate upstream and downstream. If you click a hydraulic structure, it'll load it in the widget. Now, if you do the same thing on the results tool, it's going to do something a little bit different. It's going to connect to all those same layers. The only difference is it's going to show you the results. So, for example, if you connect to the channel and you click a left bank channel, it's going to show you it'll show you this profile, and you can plot all of these things in the plots, and all the data is here. So you can access that data from the table. Hydraulic structure results, same thing. If you click a hydraulic structure, it'll plot that structure. And storm drain results will do the same thing, except it works for every feature of the storm drain. So inlets and junctions, conduits, weirs, and outfalls. It works for everything. And of course, if you have floodplain cross sections, it will work for floodplain cross sections too. Let's see, where was I? That was Flow2D results. And project review is basically the the warnings and errors. So that's right here, the debug tool, the warnings and errors in the debug tool. It does the same thing it always did. You run a run in debug mode, and then you import the debug data into the plugin, and it will plot and build shape files so that you can quickly review problematic areas in your project. It's always worked the same. I don't think we've made much changes to it recently. And okay, let's go ahead and get onto the plugin now. So once you download the plugin, you're gonna install it pretty easily. So first of all, if you're gonna install the plugin, make sure that you're not connected to a project, okay? Because it's just gonna decouple you from the project, and you'll have to reload QGIS. So just open a clean QGIS, and you'll go to the plugin manager. And once you're there, you'll go to the install from zip tab and navigate to the plugins. Grab your plugin, click open, and then just click install, and just wait for it to install. Now, then at that time, you can either restart QGIS or just come up here to installed and uncheck and then recheck this. I'm going to give you a second here so you can maybe screenshot this so you can grab the other plugins that I have. And if you know, there's upgradable and new plugins in the list right now too, because I haven't clicked those buttons in a while. Okay, what's next in FLO 2D? What's here on my page? Okay, user buttons installation, covered it. Widgets. Let's go over, so I'm going to limit my talk on these widgets and only cover the ones that Robson have made improvements on. Okay, so first off, help buttons we've put help buttons all over the place. So they take you to the topic of the button that you click. Okay, so for example, grid tools, every single one of these processors is covered in these sections. Okay, and the cross-section editor is a tool that Robson has completely upgraded. Really excellent stuff that he's done here. So I'm not going to go through like the processes of it, because if you want to see that, please go watch the video. And again, the video is on documentation and tutorials. It's a brand new video, shows you how to do everything in multiple steps. Okay, so, but if you hit the schematize and you hit the interpolate and then you hit the channel checks, it's going to show you, it's going to take you through this step where it schematizes the channel, interpolates the cross sections, and then checks all of the channel checks that FLOpro.exe checks, and it plots them on the map so you can go fix them before you even export the project. So it's super excellent tool, and we've been using it I've used it on like maybe 6 different channels lately, but mostly helping other people develop their channels, but using this tool with them. So I am very confident and comfortable with this tool. Let's see, we got boundary condition editor. So let's see. Looks like I don't have any boundaries right now, so that's great. I get to actually show you the tool. So we'll start with an inflow. Let's do a floodplain inflow. We always put one like right up here. So you'll click the button and you'll add, you do not want snapping on when you're using inflow. Any of these tools that have to be assigned to a grid element, because you don't want to snap that to a corner. And it will then assign it to 4 grid elements. So no snapping. So you select the point where you want to drop your inflow node, click OK, and then you click the button again to save it and to load the hydrograph so that you can start building the hydrograph. Or if you have an inflow.dat file out there in the world, you can just import it like this, and it will rebuild the schema data. So this is a floodplain, an inflow node with a floodplain, and we can give it a time series. And we'll call that, actually, why don't we do this? We'll grab the data from our self-help tutorial. It's right here. We're going to give it the 6-hour data. I'm going to control A, C, W. That will select all. And then here I'll control V. So control A, C, W is select all, copy, close file. And then you put it in here, and you can either control V or you can hit paste. I still don't think these buttons work, so whatever you have here, I mean, I don't know why these buttons are still here. And then once you have it, you just click the schematize tool, and you can see that it has schematized your system. Now, next on the downstream side, if you wanted to do a channel, same thing. Click it, click your channel, make sure you're on the left bank, always assign an inflow node to the left bank. Click the save button. This goes to channel. Then you can change the time series by adding a time series. And then in this one I usually do a 500 steady inflow to the channel, just to show you how to do that. Okay, and again, you just schematize it right there. Downstream controls. Let's go down here. We're going to build 3 different downstream controls. So typically, if you have a channel output, usually I like to make the channel flush with the boundary if possible. And then I will check the button and set the point. And again, remember, left bank looking downstream. And click OK, click Save. And this goes to 3. Channel, floodplain and channel, no outflow hydrograph. And then if I wanted to do a polyline, that would be like, maybe like this, and then I'll right click out that outflow, and then I'll click the button again, and then you can do floodplain with no hydrograph. Or if I had like a whole area and I wanted the plugin to define the outflow condition, I could use this guy where I can just right click that, click OK, click Save, and then set that to floodplain no outflow, or you can set that to a multiple domain exchange, or a time stage, with a floodplain and well, it's not floodplain and channel, sorry, it's actually just floodplain. So, and the model, and when you hit schematize, the model, or the plugin will determine where your boundaries go. Even if it's some crazy boundary, it'll find the outflow nodes along the boundary and it'll correctly assign them. Now I'm going to delete this one and I'm going to delete 2 of these because I want to show you one final tool. So let's go ahead and hit delete on that one, and then then let's select this one and hit the I and select it. And I want you to note 2 things. One is that if you get sick, like if you stop editing on this, but you still see that rubber band and you're sick of looking at it, you can clear that rubber band now. Robson gave us that opportunity to clear that rubber band. It's pretty sweet. Okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and select it again and delete it. And now that is also gone. And now let me show you one more tool. So a lot of times what people like to do is wrap a boundary condition around the whole exterior of the project. It's not my favorite method of modeling, because if you're, let's take a look at some of these that might be higher. If your boundary on the upstream side of a project is higher than this secondary line of nodes, when the model runs, it's going to take the elevations of these boundary condition elements and it's going to reset them to 0.1 feet lower than their next door neighbors. So that's why I don't like assigning a boundary to the whole outside of the project like that. I like to run the model and let the model tell me where I need a boundary. But if you use this anyway, because this is your methodology, I'm going to show you a way to get this to not write boundaries all along this channel, okay? And that is to select the layer, hit edit, and then you need this advanced digitizing toolbar, and you need this split features. Okay, advanced digitizing toolbar and split features. And all you have to do is draw a line across where you want to split your boundary. So I want to split it here. So I left click, right click. Oh, sorry, I'm still on that stupid thing. Okay, so left click, right click, and then we'll do it again right here. It's left click, right click, and then we will select the boundary line and delete it. And now what we want to do is hit this. I mean, maybe it's not this save button. I guess I guess you don't really have a choice. You have to hit this save button here. And whole boundary cells is now split, and this will go to floodplain, no hydrograph. But I think that it also added this line to it. So you see that it did split the line, but it added this one back to the window. And so you can now also set that one to 1. And then of course schematize will overwrite this system. Now, one of the cool things about this tool is that by decoupling the inflow from the outflow, every time you create an inflow node and hit schematize, it won't force the outflow side to process. And depending on the size of your grid system, the outflow can take significantly longer to process. However, Robson has optimized the outflow for the polygon boundaries, so they are working faster. But again, if you have 3 million cells, they're not working that much faster. All right, let me get rid of that elevation for just a second, and I'm going to select this and zoom to menu. Okay, so we got grid tools, cross-section editor, boundary condition. Oh, and by the way, you got your help button right here. Okay, now storm drain. I'm going to click it to open it, and then I'm going to click it to take you to the button, because the user manual is pretty comprehensive. It's got information on creating a storm droop. It talks about all these different types and how to use them, and it talks about plotting the profile. So I'm going to leave this to you to review, but let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of the things that Robson has done. So first of all, he's condensed a lot of the buttons and calls that used to be here into this group of buttons, so that this entire menu is just a lot smaller. If you are using shape files to define your storm drain, you'll be setting up your shape files from here. I am not going to review this tool right now, because the reason I got an error is because it's the shape files that it's looking for are missing. So I'm not going to review this tool with you right now. Go to the videos to get an excellent description of this tool. Same thing here. This is auto assign links and nodes. Go get the video to see how this tool works. This one, sorry, let me close all those. This tool is assign maximum depth. This is new, and what will happen is that you can, if you have an inlet or a node or junction, what it will do is it will take the maximum depth will equal the grid elevation minus the invert elevation. So if you don't have a maximum depth assigned to your nodes, you can quickly assign it here. Or you can just assign it to only selected nodes, and that'll be inlets and junctions only, okay? And then we also have this button here where we have these, this is new, not new, I mean this data has always been here. It's just that you had to assign it every time you exported your storm drain. You no longer have to do that. You have to set it once, and even if you import a storm drain, it will update it, so it's always the same. It doesn't update every time you export your project. Also, Robson has identified which of these are hardwired options and made them grayed out. And so again, I'm not going to go over these. Go watch the videos. There's so much more detail on the tutorial, okay? Oh, one cool thing he did that I really like, and I will show you because it's really helpful. Let's grab our swim INP real quick, and let's just grab a random feature and copy the feature name. And if we put that right here, we can open any object. So it'll zoom to the object and open the object editor. And so let me close that editor real quick. Let me grab another one. So that was a junction. Let's grab a conduit. Sorry, I'm having problems with this because it's a notepad, so you can't just triple click it to select it. And you can see that it'll work on any feature that you add, and then you have your full editor here. Now, in addition to that, we also have this guy, and so with this new button, if you click a feature, you can either load the conduit or the outfall, and it'll give you the editor for that feature. So that's, I mean, just so handy, so handy. And then of course, if you need to go to another feature while you're in here, you put it in here. Don't put it in here because this will not take you to the feature. This will change the name of the feature. Okay, so be careful with that. All right, let's go ahead and close these two. And okay, let's see now. Let me get back here. I think that was all I wanted to talk about with the storm drain editor. Let me see if it says anything else. No, that's it. Okay, info tool I just showed you. Let's check a couple more things on that info tool. So hydraulic structures. You can see that your structure editor is open. One thing I don't like about the tool is that it doesn't collapse the other windows. So do not use your roller wheel in this area, because what it does is it changes values. So if you're trying to roll because you're trying to get to the top of this window or top of this group, you're changing values, okay? Be careful about that. So instead, collapse before you do another, open another tool. Let's see what happens when you click the left bank. It will load the profile of the segment. And what happens when you click a channel cross section? Let's turn on our channel cross sections. If you click one that's a user cross section, you will, sorry, it will load it in the user cross section and plot it. If you click a schema cross section, it will load the cross section information and allow you to move up or downstream. Okay, super handy tool. I use that all the time when I'm doing channel work. Okay, one more thing maybe. I don't know. I've never tried it on a boundary condition. I'm just going to try it on a boundary condition, see if it does anything. Yes, it does. It does indeed. But again, like I said, it does not collapse the other windows, so be careful about scrolling in here. Okay, cool. Let's do results. All right, so in order to use the results tool, you do have to connect to a run that has output examples in it. So let's just do that real quick. This is my speed test quick run. I've been trying to do speed tests so that I can test the software quickly. And so I'm trying to get them done as quickly as I can. It's actually working really well. And then we come in here and let's just grab some things that have results. So, oops, I got to click the tool again. I'll click the tool and you see that it gives you the results of that hydraulic structure. You click the tool again and you get, if you have there's no timdep.hdf5 or timdep.out in this project, but if you had a timdep.out, it would plot the time to depth relationship of that structure. Let's go ahead with an outfall. So let's grab, well actually I think for the outfalls you actually have to click these ones and click see results, and this is the results of that outfall. And not only do you get inflow, flooding, depth, all that, but you can change what's plotted. First of all, you can move these around if you want, move them to the different side of the plot if you want. If you left click, you can choose a different option. Like I think this one is a good option to choose right here. Okay, that's discharge for, or sorry, excuse me, that's results for the storm drain. Now, what about channels? If I click the left bank line, it will show me by default the left bank, right bank, bed elevation, or sorry, excuse me, maximum water elevation and the bed elevation. Okay, yeah, that's it. And then if I click individual cross sections, it will show me the flow past that cross section. And if I think this is just a rainfall model. I don't think it has any inflow nodes, but that's okay. Let's see, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, sorry, if you click on this, you can change it to any of these things that you'd like to plot. So wetted perimeter, top width, those are kind of shear stress, etc. And then of course once you want to close this, you have to click somewhere else off of it, okay? And then all of the values are plotted here. Same thing with hydraulic structures, all the values are plotted there. Okay, that's kind of it for the results tool, I think. So I think that is basically the last bit, but I want to do one final thing, which is save the data. And so let's start by connecting to our geo package. So first of all, I'm going to remove the connection of the one I was looking at previously, and I'm right clicking here, create a new connection, and then we're just going to go, this is the one I've got loaded, it's called speed test. And we'll expand this, and there's a handful of things that you want to be able to see from here, okay? The first one is E for external layers, so I'm going to just drag and drop that onto the map, which will add it to the project. Although it's already part of the project, it's just not connected to the layers list, okay? And then we'll go to M, which is for metadata. And then I think the last one is T, which is for trigger control. Now I want to show you how these work. So let's go back to layers, and what that's done is it's added these layers to the project. So let's take a quick look at what these layers are. Trigger control is a trigger to enable or disable certain editors when you are exporting and importing data. You don't want these editors updating during a loop, so they're disabled. And metadata is the data that you add to the project at the beginning of your thing. So if you want to edit this, or if you want to see who created this project, you can access that here. And external layers are okay, so this is the data that I added that was external. So you see if it says external, that means that that is now part of the geo package. And if you see that it is a user, that means that it's not part of the geo package. So you add or remove data like the same way. I'll show you that in just a second. So let's close these two, and I'm going to remove all these layers. Okay, so let's talk about what happens when you save data with the new plugin, okay? So first of all, if you save data, or sorry, if you load data and they go into this external layers group once you hit save, that means this data is now part of the geo package, okay? And when it's part of the geo package, that means it's no longer connected to, the data that's right here. It's no longer part of this data. So it's a copy of this inside the geo package. So let's go ahead and try a couple. So if I add 2 layers and I click save, it's going to give you an option. If I just say no, then that just means that these 2 layers are, I'll click yes. Well, sorry, dang it, I wanted to click no. Okay, well, whatever. I'm going to click OK, and let's start this over because I messed it up. So let's just try that again. Okay, so we add data, and then when we click save, the FLO2D plugin is going to recognize that you added external layers, and it's going to give you 2 options. One, if you click no, it will just be part of the project, but you will still be connected to these layers out here. So any modification and any save to the layer that you make will modify these files. If you click yes, you get, if you click no and you wanted to give the project to somebody else, you'd also have to give them these shape files, okay? But if you click yes, then you have an opportunity to decide which of these projects you want to commit to the geo package. So if I move those 2 over and I click OK, it's now making a copy of these 2 layers and adding it to the geo package and then moving them down here to the external layers. So this is now decoupled from these shape files. So when you share your geo package with your colleague, all you have to do is share the geo package. You don't have to share a QGZ file. You don't have to share all those external shape files, but be careful. I don't like using it with results. It doesn't work with MapCrafter because you know you're going to change your results all the time. It doesn't work with data like Google Maps because that's a server and you can't save server data to the geo package. Okay, so it doesn't work with certain items. Now, how would you remove it now that you've added it? If you go to manage a geo package, you can now delete it from here, and that will remove it from the project. Now, if something happens, let's say you accidentally remove this data. Let's say I click remove layer on that. Now if I go to the browser menu and I hit refresh on my browser menu, you can see that that data is still there. So if I need to get it back into the project, I just drag and drop it back onto the map and pop it back into external layers. And it shouldn't have messed up my external layers because I didn't hit the save button. So see, project saved, no problem. Okay, so that's how the new save functionality works, and that is the end of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down here. But remember, one final recap: If you want to get the plugin, or sorry, if you want to get the plugin, you go to Products, QGIS Plugin, download the plugin here, and open the documentation here. Or if you're in QGIS, you get to the documentation with any of our help buttons. Okay, well, thank you for participating in this video. I hope this is helpful for you.